Ladies and gentlemen, it is 2022, and once again, I'm joined by Harley. Harley, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's good to be back. It's been a whole year since I've seen you.
Aha.
How are you?
Let's get that one out of the way nice and early. I just want to address something really early doors. Obviously, it's January, and we'll do a roundup and a questions at the end of the month, but I've got a sneaky feeling that we've signed a new striker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because seeing you run onto the pitch when it went to 3-3, that burst of pace, I was like, that could be our new striker, ladies and gentlemen.
You saw me leap over the barrier like a salmon. It reminded you of a prime Peter Crouch.
I mean, leap, it was, I've got to admit, I did want you to take a tumble just so that on the highlights that inevitably got shared, you would just see you coming over the barrier like that. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. We'll start with that fantastic game because it is all everyone's talking about at the moment. I think it's fair to say you were quite happy when Wilkinson scored at the end there.
I mean, marginally happy, I suppose. Is a little bit chuffed. I was elated, wasn't I? I mean, it sounds a bit stupid, you know, having a pitch invasion for a 3-3 draw with Newport. But it was just the emotion of the game. Like the first half was quite dull. We didn't play very well. 1-0 down very early on from some dreadful defending from a set piece.
Yeah.
And then that second half, it was just pandemonium. I've not seen a half of football that chaotic in a very long time.
Until Liverpool-Chelsea the following day.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of built to this big crescendo at the end. And just the 95th minute, that goal with his weak foot as well. Technically, I mean, I said it to my mate. I said, it's a bit of prime Dele Alli, that, isn't it? That finish.
I mean, if that gets scored in the Premier League, it's not getting shut up about for such a long time. If Salah scores that goal, people go, well, it's goal of the season. Is this going up for Puskas? But it's Connor Wilkinson, so it won't. You know, I thought it was incredible. The technique, and like you said, to hit it on his right foot. I also thought he took I'll say his first of the 3 goals quite well. Again,
yeah, it's an excellent strike because it's the way the ball come into it'd been delivered in from the corner, and he's just met it. This is his first touch as well. He's only been on the pitch 5 seconds. The way he's met it with his right foot, it is meant for him.
What I thought was brilliant about his first goal was everything that was wrong with his second, with the own goal, where I thought his anticipation for it to land without taking a touch on the way. It's rare that you see players almost expecting it not, or getting ready for it not to take a touch on the way through. But then on the own goal, he very much was expecting it to take a touch on the way through.
Yeah, I think he got a little bit caught up in the emotion of it, didn't he? I think he'd just come on and scored the goal to put us level, and he was fired up, and he'd seen us, we were back defending. I'll be honest, I don't know what he was doing there. I don't know why he was left as the man that had to cover the back post. It was a good finish, to be fair, for him. A completely wrong-footed Rushworth.
It was an emphatic header.
Yeah. If looking at, I mean, what more can you say? It was just, I don't know. He's got caught up in it, hasn't he? I mean, but he made up for it. So,
whose would you say was the best or worst own goal out of the 2? Because,
well, I mean,
Dolan.
It depends, because if we're talking, you know, ability-wise, I think Wilkinson, he's anticipated the ball come in, and he's just nodded it in, and it's a very tidy finish. Whereas Dolan, he's gone for the clearance, and it's a proper slice. It's one of those Sunday League slices.
Yeah.
And he's tried to hit it forward, and it's gone backwards.
Yeah.
So
right, but it was right in the corner. Yeah,
it was. I mean, if that's what he was going for, then it's a brilliant finish. I doubt it, but I'd say as own goals go, I'd say Dolan's was more impressive because it's a trickier shot.
Yeah. Like that's Yeah, it's not getting recreated.
No.
But kind of going away from the excitement at the end and the fact that really I'd say it's probably the maddest game and late drama probably since Northampton, like pre-COVID, where it was 3-2, where Holden scored in the last minute.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that. I mean, I don't even think I can name like
maybe the 4-3 Port Vale, but there were no fans there.
No, I don't think. I feel like that one was a good game of football, but the fans are what make it. And this one, it was the fans kind of lifted the players, because it's hard to describe the emotion the fans were feeling during that game. The highs and lows, to go down early on, it was quite quiet, and then suddenly Wilkinson comes on, and I think I even called it. I think I even said, I think he's going to score this, and he did. A mystic was that. Anyway, and then we were just screaming, chanting at the Newport fans, and then he goes and puts it in his own net. I mean, we were singing, Connor Wilkinson, as we do, and the Newport fans did it right back to us when he scored an own goal, which I thought was brilliant patter. I've
got to say, I think it was one of the best atmospheres. Like both sets of fans, it was I don't know how to really describe it, but it just felt like it was just a good spirited kind of like between the two sets of fans.
Yeah, and I think it was a proper football match. I mean, it had a little bit of everything. It had some kind of light-hearted jesting. I mean, their goalkeeper's their second goalkeeper. I don't think he'd been doing much of his fitness because he was a bit porky, and he was getting a bit of abuse from the home fans, and he took it on the chin, to be fair to him. James Clark as well. And I think whatever we were giving Newport, they were giving us back.
Yeah.
And it was a really good game. Just if someone had never watched football before, to say this is what football is, this is it as a package.
Yeah. So before that, we didn't have a game for a few weeks, and it kind of got a bit of a joke of, well, Walsall aren't going to play again in 2021 as each game was called off. But going as far back as the 11th of December, which seems really long ago now, Walsall had a very impressive 3-0 victory. It's back-to-back home games with 3 goals in it.
It is, and I believe that is the first time since 2017, if I've got my stats correct there.
And that is proof that Harley does much more research before these than I do.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that on Twitter. I can't claim that as my own stat. I just saw it on Twitter, but I thought I'd bring it to the party just because it's a fun stat.
Yeah, was that a Tom Marlowe stat by any chance?
It wasn't a Tom Marlowe stat.
It wasn't?
Oh. No.
Oh.
I've seen that somewhere else. These are usually more bizarre, aren't they? It's something.
Good point. Yeah. His will be something to do with like the people with the surname W scoring on New Year's Day, and you'll go, oh yeah, that'll be his sort of niche stat.
Something like wordy, he's won countdown. He loves his words clearly.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a really kind of sounds odd, but really good way to cap off the year. I think we're going to talk later about sort of the year as a whole, but we beat a team that were below us in the league quite comfortably. Like, it just beggars belief.
It is, and I can't remember the last time we've won a 3-0 game, because that is the perfect scoreline.
Yeah,
because it shows you were dominant and you didn't concede anything, obviously, which is what you want. And it was a great way to kind of cap off the year. We didn't know it was going to be the game that cap off the year.
Yeah,
unfortunately, it was. But it's a good way to kind of end the year and say, this is the difference between Matt Taylor and Brian Dutton, or Darryl Clark, whichever one you want to. That we finished the year on a high. Yeah, we started with those two. We finished with Taylor.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at the kind of. Otis Khan shone, and I thought he played quite well again on. God, I'm losing track of the days. A couple of days ago, I think he's shown that he needs to be signed, and even hopefully by the time this video comes out, has signed. It shows his importance to the team and going forward, and also Jack Earing getting on the score sheet as well. It shows how really a player that may have signed as maybe more of a backup player has grasped an opportunity and now really deserves to start every match.
Yeah, and I think Khan has been excellent since he signed with us. And he's filled in a kind of variety of different positions. He's been on the left wing, he's been on the right wing, he's been a right back, and he's always shone wherever he is. And it's really good to see, and him to kind of get his goals and assists. And we do need to bring him in for the rest of the season. Yeah, there's going to be more postponements. Hopefully not, but
we're going to have a busy couple of months ahead.
Yeah, I think that a lot of them are getting pushed into February, aren't they? So February is going to be a tough month. Yeah,
I was sort of, for the life of me, I can't remember when Swindon I think Swindon's in March, isn't it?
Might be, yeah. Or the end of February.
I know. Yeah, I think. Well, I don't think Bradford's been announced yet, has it?
No, it hasn't, not yet.
And God, I can't even remember who else it was.
It was Northampton, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think Northampton's been put on a Tuesday now, somewhere in February, if I remember correctly. I was looking at this last night, so I should have a better memory of it.
You are correct. Oh no, that's the home game.
Oh,
the home game is in February. There doesn't appear to be anything
They've not announced it yet.
No.
So
I'm looking on Google, but the Swindon game is going to be in February, so the 22nd. And it just sort of, I feel that we need to try and get one in January, because at the moment it is just Saturday.
Yeah.
And then February, March hits, there's a couple more midweeks. You always, I don't even know when Easter is, but you sort of getting towards that's way in April. Ignore that stupid comment then. I was going to say in April, you always have the kind of the Easter games quite close to each other. I just think that if we can get one played in January, it just takes that pressure off. And like you said, if any more do get called off, which I'd hope they don't, it will just take a bit of pressure off if we do get, having to fit in 3 or 4 postponed games all in February, March time.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of going back to that point about Khan, is that we need attacking options. Like I've said, we need to sign a striker. We just need another person up front in case Miller gets injured.
Yeah.
And I think Khan's just a really good player to have, because at the moment, from my perspective, it's a win-win, because Khan gets to play the rest of the season, show everybody what he can do. If by a miracle he takes us up, he's playing in League One next season if he wants to stay. If we don't go up, he can leave with his head held high and go and get himself into a League One side. We get a player who can push us towards playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't see why he wouldn't sign on, to be honest.
I think, and I also think the reaction to the video was a bit not over the top. I think I know what he's saying. He's saying that he had a good time. He was tried to, at Tranmere. He felt he could have got a League One club. It didn't work. He was. It's also worth remembering that he was on a Tranmere podcast.
Yeah,
he's going to kind of not pander to them, but he's going to say nice things about them. I know when I did interviews during lockdown, I did the kind of like email where I'd email it or sort of message ex-players, and none of them are going to say bad things about the club, because it's not in their best interests to.
Yeah.
And I actually happen to know the guy who runs the podcast, and he agreed. He said it wasn't a dig at Walsall. It was just I had a really good time at Tranmere. I sort of gambled, and it didn't work. And I've got to admit, quite brave, and I quite like his honesty for admitting that.
Yeah, no, you can definitely see why it kind of, the fans took it the wrong way, and at first I was a little bit like, what's this? It sounded a bit weird, but when you kind of you consider the context of it, it was pulled from a Tranmere kind of podcast. It's just a kind of it's like an insert or an excerpt. Yeah. Well, we don't know the full context of it. I'm not even sure when it was recorded, so he might not have signed with the club then. I can't remember.
It was recorded. Oh, hang on, let me find the old message. I think it was recorded after he'd signed for the club. Yeah. It wasn't a dig. I think because he didn't mention Walsall, I think it kind of sounded like he didn't want to talk about them, which I don't think there was the intention. I just don't think it was really playing on his mind at all to consider us in that conversation, because he's talking about Tranmere and what happened kind of before he signed for us and what he wanted. Yeah. It didn't really affect us too much. Yeah. Keeping on the ex-Tranmere players theme, the day after that video came out, the announcement that Manny Montfors got a 7-game ban after being found guilty of homophobic abuse also kind of hit us. We spoke on here and said that we'd both be quite disappointed to learn or to hear that any of our players would say that. And Montfors come out and said that he completely denies and rejects the evidence put forward, and that he is disappointed that it's been found that way. So he clearly isn't budging on his view of it, which, I quite liked his fight back, because clearly he feels he's not done anything wrong. But how do you feel about the ban? Because it feels like Walsall are getting punished for something that's happened at a previous club, but I don't know how else you would punish the player.
I have a bit of an issue with the kind of the verdict they found, because the way this has been done, it hasn't gone through the courts or anything. It's gone through the FA.
Yeah.
Now, if it were to go through the courts, then the player the victim of this, shall we say, him and his team have to then prove beyond reasonable doubt that Monty said this. The FA, you don't have to do that. So then it makes life a lot easier. It's a lot of he said this, she said that. Who do you believe? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So I do feel for him, because I don't think he did say it. If he did, I would be very upset with him. I really would, and I'd be embarrassed. But I don't think he did. From what I've seen of him, he seems like a reasonable bloke. It was the 7th minute of a game, so emotions wouldn't have been particularly high. And
I also think the way that he's come out and carried on denying it, I don't know, something rings kind of not that Forest Green are making it up, or that the other player is lying about it. I'm not suggesting that for 1 minute, but I don't think Month said what is alleged to have been said.
I mean, it could have been as simple as something as somebody overhearing something, and it's in the middle of a match. Emotions, are running high. They could have just misheard it.
Yeah.
It's easy to do that. We all do that in everyday life. We mishear something or misconstrue something, and we're not sure what we heard. So I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't think we'll ever know, will we, whether he did or didn't. But getting back to the ban, I agree with you. I don't think it's fair on our club, because it didn't happen while he was here, and we wouldn't let it happen when we were here anyway, even if it did.
Yeah.
It should be a bigger fine for him, to be quite honest, because £1,200 is what some of his weekly wage. That's nothing to him. He'll go on an educational course, which will be a couple of weeks, something like that, maybe a few hours here and there. He'll go, Okay, but the 7-game ban, that really affects us. It doesn't so much affect him as it does affect the club and our football and results. And I think that's the bits that's unfair. The punishment should be on the player. So it should be, here's the fine, here's the educational course, here's whatever else you want to do.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't mess with his playing time, and it shouldn't mess with his performance for a different club.
Yeah. Right. Well, moving on from that, I've actually got a bit of a quiz question for you here. I want to see how much you've been consuming social media and consuming data and stats over the over Christmas. So, as per year, Experimental 361 produce. I think it's Experimental 361. Yes, it is. Produce the Football League table. Of
I think I know where you're going with this.
You do know, of 2021, which, for the life of me, I can't figure out how they do this. Basically, they look at the amount of points that a team have picked up, and then they work out what that is points per game. Obviously, because the Premier League play fewer games than Football League and still moan about the festive period. Who'd have thought it, eh? And then they work out the points per game of the combined Premier League and EFL. So, out of the 92 clubs, where do you think Walsall finished?
I know it's slow. I can't remember exactly
Really?
Who'd have thought it?
I know.
I'm gonna guess it's like 72nd or something.
Oh, very close.
Go on.
It is 79th.
Oh, I was being optimistic.
Yeah, very.
That's an interesting stat.
I'm trying to find the 2021 because I'd like to see the comparison. Aha, there it is.
Probably going to be like a fair bit higher on that one, I'd assume.
Well,
say about 50th. No, about 40th, I reckon, maybe.
I'll see what I'll try and figure it out while I ask you more questions.
Okay.
So it says on the, if I can find it, it says that we picked up 51 points in the calendar year of 2021. Looking at the League Two table, we have picked up 29 points so far this season. So obviously 28 of those will have been from 2021. 28 over 51 in 21 matches out of the 46. So we picked up just over half the points in just under half the games under Matt Taylor. Signs of progress?
I'll be honest, I've been a bit lost in your maths. I was trying to stay with you and it just...
Right, okay.
It's gone.
So, in the league this season, Walsall have picked up a total of 29 points.
Right.
If you take off the 1 point that we got on New Year's Day,
it
means that under Matt Taylor in the league, in 21 matches, Walsall have got 28 points.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
With me on that?
With you. Yeah.
Are you going to write this down, or you feel that you?
No, it's up there now. It's up there.
It's up there. Great.
Yeah.
So, in the league table, out of the 40, it's based on 46 matches that Walsall play.
Yeah.
Says that we picked up 51 points.
Right.
Which means that Matt Taylor's been in charge for 2021 for just under half of those league fixtures.
Yes.
But we picked up just over half the points.
Right.
You with me?
Okay. Yes.
Signs of progress?
Yes. Statistically, yes. I think I'm,
Think you're there?
Going off those numbers, if I'm with you, then yes, I think.
Great. Well,
maths is not my strongest subject here. So, I tend to leave that to you, these complicated, sums and stuff. I can tell you about the feeling of the club and, how I feel. The scientific side of it, I'll leave to you.
Great, brilliant. Why don't you ask me signs of progress, and I'll just take it.
Okay, so considering all that maths you've just explained, progress?
Yes and no. Yes, because obviously we are statistically picking up more points under Matt Taylor than we did under the delights of Darryl Clark and Brian Dutton combined. But then looking back at the table for 2020, Walsall finished with, I mean, it was based off of 33 games because of COVID, but Walsall would have finished 28th in that 92 with an average of 1.52 points per game, where we've actually dropped to 1.11. So it is quite a drop. However, I think we can't look back at 2021 as a whole.
Yeah.
It's definitely in 3-ish segments for me.
Yeah.
You've got the first month and a half, I think it was mid-February.
Yeah.
Then you've got to look at the three kind of managers, and the most consistent we've been and the most points we've picked up has been under Matt Taylor. So for me, it's signs of progress. And I think that that's a good kind of gauge of how well a club has done, obviously as a whole throughout the year. For us, with the amount of kind of transition we've been in from, 3 managers, it was never going to look pretty, especially with how we ended last season. But picking up, we're doing all right under Taylor. And I think that's, I think if I was analysing the year, I'd say give it like a C+. I say that it wasn't great in places, but it's shown signs of progress massively. I think there's consistency now more so than we've had. And I think going into the game against Stevenage, it's time to see whether we fluked it against Colchester or whether we can now really start to show that we are a good attacking team against the lower teams.
Yeah, and the numbers do support what you're saying.
You sure about
what I can tell you is from watching the games and being there in the stadium myself, I think there's progress based on the fact that under Darryl Clark, there was some good results, but it wasn't pretty. He's doing the same job at Port Vale. He's grafting out those results. He says it himself. He's not going to play out from the back. He's going to hoof it up top. He's no nonsense. Yeah. It does work to an extent. It didn't really work with us. Dutton, he didn't have a striker. He had Derek Osayor. He was dreadful. He didn't have Adebayo. It was never going to end well. He tried a new system. It didn't work. Awful. But under Taylor, I've enjoyed the football he plays, and it's slow progress. We're kind of climbing our way up the league little by little. We've not shot up the league like maybe Mansfield have, but we've gradually gone from being like 21st up to now kind of 12th, 13th.
Yeah,
and it's been consistent hopping up the league. It's a one position that week, one position next week. We've been grinding out those results and playing some really enjoyable football, and that's progress in my book. Is on the pitch, are we more entertaining? And yeah, we are.
Well, I'm just going to give you the points per game for under the
okay
when I can figure it out. Where are we? It is divided by 25. That would make a lot more sense. So under Clark and Dutton combined last calendar year, we had a points per game of 0.92. Whereas under Taylor, we've had points per game of 1.31, if my maths is correct. I think that really sums it up.
Yeah. That's not too bad, to be fair. And I think that shows that we're consistent, which is good. we haven't lost that many games. We haven't been dominated in that many games. To be quite honest, we've got a lot of draws and we've got quite a few good wins this season. Yeah, some impressive wins which I haven't seen for a while. Just getting those like Vale, Oldham away, Colchester, where we've got a really solid win, and I think that 1.3 it's a decent platform for his first kind of term as manager, his first kind of half of the year, half season.
I mean, not that I've got the brain capacity to do it now, but I think if you were to look at his games as kind of in halves or in thirds, however you wanted to do it so far for Matt Taylor, you'd probably see an upward trend of sort of points per game or things like that, because he is starting to get his team playing his way.
Yeah, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster. It was a bad start. I mean, I think you've got to look at this kind of first half of the season in three. So you look at the first kind of third of the season, struggling to get a win, couldn't really find our feet. Then you've got kind of October time, unbeaten in that month, picked up a lot of points. And then ever since then, it's kind of leveled off and it's been a bit more consistent. It's been win, draw, loss, maybe win, draw, but the results have been more consistent and it's curved off a bit. And I think that's where it's starting to go kind of like that. It's not going like that. It's just a bit of a kind of gradual kind of rise now.
Right. And are you ready for what is going to be the final little bit of this?
I'm ready.
Okay. Harley, I would like you to tell me, as it is just the end of the festive period, and in any good panto, you have a hero and you have a villain.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Who's been your hero and villain of 2021?
Oof. Yeah, I knew this was coming, and I'm still struggling. So, hero.
It's because you were going to name 3 or 4, weren't you? You were expecting who impressed you and who didn't.
Yeah. So I'm going to go a little bit kind of left of field for hero.
Oh, love left field.
I would say my hero has been Josh Labadie.
Ooh.
Because he's captain and he's come in, and I just love his passion. I love that at the game on Saturday, he was one of the first to run straight into the fans.
Yeah.
And he loves it. We win a penalty. He's celebrating winning a penalty.
Yeah,
I love it. I love his energy. He came on Saturday. He was brilliant. He marshaled the midfield and he did change the game. He gave us a lot more of a platform in midfield. And I just really enjoy watching him play, to be quite honest. And I think he's got the dressing room under control.
Yeah.
Villain. I think who played for us that season.
Do you want me to go through my hero so you can have a bit of time?
Yeah. You go for yours and I'll have a think.
I completely commend you for Josh Labadie. I think I agree. For me, hero has to be. It's got to be Kinsella.
Ooh,
Mr. Consistent. If you were watching a panto or a TV drama and Kinsella came on as like the lead, the hero, I'd be like, we're in some safe hands here. We're going to find out who the murderer is. If it was a detective show, or like Save the Day, if it was the Avengers. Like, although his stature's more of a Hawkeye, he is Captain America.
Well, no. Well, I would argue that he is Hawkeye because he's not the most impressive.
Ooh.
But he's been there through all of the films. He's been consistently. He's not been killed. He's not. He's been there, and everyone loves Hawkeye just because he's.
And that means that Kinsella's going to get a really good series on Disney Plus sometime soon.
Exactly.
So who's he fighting then? Who's the villain?
Well, I think I would. I mean, I could go for the old classic. I've got one man in mind who I'm not a big fan of.
Could be a few. I don't quite know who. Are you going to go with the fitness and conditioning coach, or are you going to?
Well, I would do, but I don't know his name, so I feel like I'd have to call him out in person. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go for villain. If we're talking Panto villain, I would say James Clark.
If it was going Panto villain, I would agree.
Because he's the perfect Panto villain. Because he was loving the abuse on Saturday. He was living in it.
Yeah.
Him doing his dark arts, drawing the fouls, annoying the hell out of the home fans.
Yeah.
He knew exactly what he was doing. And he's a perfect Panto villain. I'll give it him. I'll give it him.
Yeah,
it's a harsh one, but
yeah, I feel bad for saying this because he tried, but for me, the villain's got to be Brian Dutton, and he's not a necessarily an evil villain, just a wrong place, wrong time kind of guy. And things.
Well, could you not make an argument for Darryl Clark because he's,
but
because he's even more evil because he left us for Vale.
Yeah, but I kind of feel that's too obvious.
Yeah,
I think for me, Dutton, he tried, but God, he failed, and he was at the helm for the worst finish since Walsall have been in the Football League.
Well, if he's a villain, then surely he succeeded because he got what he wanted.
We're not talking Thanos at the end of Infinity War. We're not that sort of success. But I just think that the writing was on the wall for him weeks before, he kind of got told, no, you're not going to be coming back. And I just think he, in hindsight, should have just called it a day. But then again, we wouldn't have had Matt Taylor come in, probably. So it is difficult.
Yeah, and I think I do. This is the problem is when I look at the players of last season, I don't really have an issue with any of them because it was just kind of unfortunate the way things happened, the way kind of Clark abandoned us in February, the way we sold Adebayo, who'd been so crucial, and things just kind of fell apart and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. There was no goals in the team. Holden was out. Dutton was trying his best. And he did try, bless him. Yeah, he played some he had ideas. He played some all right football, but there was nothing to it.
I still look back at his first game and I can't remember whether we drew.
I think there was it might have been like a draw with Cheltenham or something.
Yeah, or we lost. It was definitely Cheltenham. I'm just going to scroll back through all the Walsall fixtures and see.
And if you look at the stats of him, we played a lot of passes and we had a lot of possession, and it was a system that wasn't too bad. But I think the issue is that we needed someone to come in who could rile the players up.
Yeah,
we needed like a Neil Warnock, someone who would go in at halftime and just obliterate them.
Yeah,
because it worked, and that's the type of fight. Or like an Allardyce, someone who's going to go in there and he's just going to rescue the season by shouting at them and firing them up. And I think Dutton, he was a very quiet man. He's very contemplative, and he was I think he failed to inspire, and I think it's a bit like Pep Guardiola. He's a brilliant manager, but if you sent him to Norwich, I don't think he's rescuing the season. I don't think he's firing up the players to rescue the season. I don't think he's that type of man, and I think that's what kind of happened to Dutton.
So what you're saying is that Dutton was too much alike to Pep Guardiola.
What I'm saying is, if Brian Dutton was managing Manchester City, he'd have done a similar job to Pep.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And
But
then
he wouldn't rescue Norwich.
no.
No.
And then final point before we wrap up, ahead of what is going to be no doubt a news-filled January.
Mm-hmm.
What should Walsall's New Year's resolution be?
To win football matches.
Okay, that's very broad.
Yes. Yeah.
Going a little bit more specific. But I like you thinking.
Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think be resolute.
Yeah, I was thinking cut out the sloppy goals that we concede.
Yeah.
Like I know Matt Taylor's thing of every goal is avoidable when he's been asked post-match, so what could we have done to avoid that? Or like every goal is avoidable at some point in the build-up. But there are times where, you hold your hands up and you go, yeah, it was just a good goal. Yeah, we could have defended a bit better, but it was just a good goal. It's the sloppy mistakes that really, I mean, I'd go as far to say as 2 of the 3 at the weekend. Obviously, the own goal was, and I think the first goal needs to just defend our lines better. I think the second one,
the first goal, Stephen Ward has dropped his man at the back post and left Dom Telford unmarked.
Yeah,
you can't do that with Dom Telford.
No.
I mean, I know he's absolutely. I didn't realise how small he was, but he's absolutely tiny. So I know how you could kind of lose it.
Yeah,
but he had 14 goals in 14 games.
You've got to stick to him like glue.
Exactly.
But
So I think you're right in saying that individual errors is an issue. I think we'd be maybe 3, 4, 5 points better off without those individual errors. So I think I'll agree with you on that one.
Oh,
I'm going to join Rob's camp.
That's a nice way to start the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that I look back at, I mean, sort of looking at the games in December, like Crawley, I was like, what did we concede? And then I remember it was Earing, actually uncharacteristically, it was trying to flick the ball over his opponent and lost possession. And then the team were on the back foot. And it's things like that, just if he just passed the ball, and it was in added time in the first half, just pass the ball. If there's a player coming on to you at that point, just clear your lines. Just like you said, be resolute, hold out. Yeah. And I think if we can cut that out, it will. I don't think top 10 is too far a push this season.
See, I think top 10 is absolutely within reach. I think I would like us to have a playoffs push. I don't particularly expect us to get into the playoffs, but come April, May, I want us to be in the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's, for me, I think in League Two, if you are top 10, you are in that conversation until quite late into the season. Yeah. And with how open the league is, I mean, it is all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, Mansfield are 9th.
Yeah.
I mean, we thrashed them 3-1. They were dreadful.
Yeah.
And now they're 9th. Yeah, anything can happen.
I mean, Northampton, they got spanked 5-2 and they're second.
Yeah.
And they got spanked by a Swindon side who we've played them in we've only played them in the cup, which
we got knocked out.
Yeah. Both teams rotated, but I didn't think we were too far off them.
No. There was chances there. There was definitely chances. I mean, Vale were like 3rd, 4th, and we beat them quite comfortably.
6th, but because of games in hand, because there's a bit of a thing going on. But I mean, I know we do this every single time we've been on. Forest Green are top, 7 points clear with a game in hand and 2 games in hand on 3rd. They are where they are because they are the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Other than that, every game's winnable. Northampton, I don't see why we couldn't have a good game against them. Sutton, we beat. Like, Tranmere have obviously found a bit of form. We played them first day of the season. I'll be interested to see their the game against them. But after that, we've drawn against Exeter, we've beaten Mansfield, who are 8th and 9th. We could draw against Newport. Then you've got Vale and Swindon, who are making up the rest of the teams sort of in the top 10.
Yeah. And I think, having had a little look at the league, some of the teams up there, I think it's Tranmere and Northampton. Maybe that's changed because of conceding 5. But those two are right up there in terms of clean sheets and goals conceded.
Yeah,
I mean, if we're not talking, I wouldn't consider Forest Green even really part of the league anymore, because they've already won. Like, they're too good.
Yeah,
they will go up. It's it's not a contest. But second down, it's anybody's game, and you just have to be consistent and grind out those results and just not concede. If you can keep a tight ship, Tranmere weren't particularly good when we played them first game of the season. They just held out. And if we can do that, because we can score goals, like I said, back to games with 3 goals in, if we can learn how to cut out the individual errors, there's no reason we can't be up there, because it's just about not conceding.
I mean, January, there's the opportunity to pick up points. I mean, Stevenage, we say it every time we play a team below us, but we should be picking up points against Stevenage. But who knows? But then after that, Mansfield, Exeter, Bristol Rovers. I mean, like you said, we've beaten Mansfield. Exeter have lost 4 of the last 5. They're having a really bad run of form. And Bristol Rovers, consistency is completely gone. But they're really inconsistent. And again, we should be trying to pick up points against them. But we've got an opportunity in January to, like you said, either kind of push into the top 10, or at least keep in with that whole kind of pack that are below the playoffs.
Yeah. And I don't see why not. I mean, there's nothing special about those kind of 4 teams.
No.
I think that Rovers we should beat, Stevenage we should beat, Mansfield, they're doing a bit better. So that one, it's a flip of a coin. And I think Exeter, we've got to capitalise on their bad run of form. There could be, 7, 9 points, something like that from those games. I wouldn't put that out the question.
No. I'm just looking at our fixture list. I just look and go, Port Vale, 3rd from final game of the season. Oh God, that could be.
That's going to be chaos. That's going to be carnage.
Absolute carnage. I think is the only word that we can really use to describe that. And that's looking at it from, we're recording this on the 3rd of January. We're already going. That could be, even if we're out of the mix, but they're still in it, like, that would be.
If we could just ruin their day.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That'd be lovely. Oh, at least it's not a Tuesday night as well, so that'll be
exactly
bigger bonus. Right, Harley, thank you once again for joining. We will be doing a bit of a special. We're doing a bit of a special for the fans. Would you like to tell them?
Well, yeah, you've sprung this on me, so I hope it's the news that you've already told me and not something completely different.
No.
So what we've discussed is that we're going to be recording one of these on transfer deadline day to talk about...
Not just transfer deadline day, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
When have we said we're going to record on transfer deadline day?
I can't remember.
Oh, come on, Harley. We said we're going to do it as the window closes.
Yeah, as the window closes, that was it. Yeah. So we record as the window closes, news as it's coming is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see our reactions fresh on our faces.
Yeah, to what probably will be the quietest January deadline day in years.
Now that we'll probably be talking about some of the Premier League clubs and that's nice.
Yeah.
Swindon have got a loan or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Any news about Walsall?
Yeah, just signed Meniere on a permanent deal. That's all.
We can hope. No,
Okay.
I'd be happy with that. Otis Khan and Meniere on permanent.
Yeah, and then just I'm going to go with those two on permanents and a young striker that can start to integrate into the team.
I would like that. I would flip that and say I'd like an experienced striker, because I think we've got Shea Willett coming through, who's the youngster. So I'd say I think an experienced head to spearhead the attack on the days when Miller's not up to it would be lovely.
Yeah. Well, we will find out.
We'll see in about a month's time to find out.
We will, and hopefully it is an exciting deadline day, because otherwise it's going to be really boring waiting up until like midnight to talk about sweet nothing.
But that's why we do this. Anything could happen.
Commitment. Yeah.
We're nothing if not committed.
True. Right. Thank you everyone for watching, and like we said, we will see you at the very end of January.
Thank you everyone.